What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new, thank you for joining us. I am Vivian Chen, author of the Noodle Shop Mysteries, obligatory plug of my latest child, The Chow Maniac. Just came out in April, is number 11 in the series, which is really exciting. And I love the cover so much. So that is my plug. We are going to do a plan with me today. However, I have some things that I want to talk about first as kind of just like general updates, and then we'll get started. So I may do like a timestamp in case you want to skip over any of my rambling. That's going to have to do with books that I'm reading, and then I just wanted to show you guys something else too. So we are at the end of June. I have not been keeping up with my planner. I'd be interested to know. I know a lot of planner people do like mid-year reviews. So I would be interested to see how you're doing this year. I feel like this year has been very busy. And I have been living outside of, or I should say inside. I've been living inside of my mini that I carry with me. It is an academic start, or an academic calendar, so it doesn't start technically until July. So I made some temporary pages to just kind of get me through because I did not like that skinny one. And then I've been doing like lists on blank paper. This is what I wanted to talk about. I started doing like daily lists, and it made me miss my Hobonichi again, which is always something that I'm struggling with, is finding planner peace and whether or not planner peace actually exists. But it got me thinking, because I'm really liking this, that maybe next year I'm going to do a Franken planner. If I can make it through the rest of this year and what I have. This one is horizontal. So, and it's got the checklists on the side, and then, you know, you could doodle here and you have space for notes. I don't know if this is enough for me because I do write kind of big. So I am thinking about changing what I'm doing. One of the things I liked about the Hobonichi was the fact that I could do a daily in the back. I had one of the thinner ones. I can't think of what it's called just now. But I don't know. I'm starting to lean towards this and lean away from this setup. However, I really enjoy decorating this style. So what I had done not that long ago, when Happy Planner had their huge like warehouse clearing sale, or you know, whatever it's called, I ended up buying this. So this is the 18-month. It's a horizontal. The original reason why I bought it was, one reason was it was $6.98. How can you pass this up? It's 18 months. You get all of these beautiful dividers in it. I mean, it's gorgeous. And I really wanted this planner, but I did not want the vertical. They do have it in a horizontal. But I started thinking, I don't know if you guys remember, I started repurposing old ones of these. And it didn't work out, and it was for my work, which I may still do, but I'm actually thinking about taking pages out of here and putting it into my actual planner and kind of switching things out for the rest of the year. I don't know. I say that now, but this to me it's not as fun to decorate. I do see people do a lot of creative things with it. I just don't know if that's where my creativity lies or not, but I am considering it. And while I was purchasing that, I also purchased this little one that matches the theme of my planner. It's like Desert Mystic. And you guys, this is following me everywhere. We all know I'm not a fan of that. I've said it several times. But it's just dot grid paper. You get 3. This was really cheap too. These were on clearance. I don't know it, or maybe this one wasn't. This was on clearance, and I bought another notebook that I don't know what I did with, which is terribleness. But I think it was at least on sale. So I purchased this with the intention of making it into a planner because I had not gotten this yet. This came out after. So yeah, I don't know. But what I was thinking, is to kind of round out my thoughts, is that I thought about using these as daily pages, and kind of switching things up. I don't know. I hate to abandon my classic size, but I'm really falling for these minis. They're a little bit more manageable, and I could easily update the rings to be the ones that come from the classic, so I get a little bit more space. With the Hobonichi, the biggest problem was how thick it got towards the end of the year, and I also ran out of pages. So that was kind of a problem for me. But those are my thoughts. I haven't landed anywhere. I'm interested to know if anybody goes through this with the Happy Planner, that they sometimes want the horizontal and then they go back to the vertical, and then halfway through the year you just are changing what you want to do. I know I've seen people talk about it, but I'd like to know if any of you guys are experiencing that, or if you have a planner that you feel you have achieved planner peace with. I have not. I thought that I found planner peace, but it was fleeting. So, but I am going to stay in the vertical for right now. I do have a lot of blank pages this year, way more than last year. I only decorated, well, I think, okay, so none of June. So it must have been, yeah, the last was in May, and the week, oh, I'm sorry, I'm shaking the camera. The week kind of got away from me because I did go out of town. So it has not been a great start, this first half of 2025. So that's my update with that. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but we will figure it out together. The other thing I want to talk about is, because I've talked about it before, is about my journals. So when I journal, I do not mess around. I do it in a, let me get more in the camera here. It's the big 8.5 by 11. Usually it is a 5-subject notebook. However, I have not been journaling as frequently as I did before, again, because of life being busy. So normally I would do the 5-subject. This one is a 1-subject, just some notebook I got from Walmart that comes with a folder. But like when I journal, like really truly journal, it's messy and it's on lined paper. And to make myself feel better about the notebook, because it's very bland, I decorate the cover. So I started this one last night and I wanted to show you guys, and I'll show you when I finish it too. These stickers here, these are from the HoneyBShop, which is the shop that I'm going to be decorating my pages with today, that Hello Kitty and Friends themed kit from the sub box. This sticker right here, donuts are my love language, that is actually from my Redbubble shop. I purchased one of each sticker so I could see the quality of them, and so I could use them on my own stuff, because that's where I got the idea from. And then this is just from a Happy Planner kit. That was a celestial theme, which is always my favorite. But yeah, I journal in, like, as much as I love cute journals, when I'm being serious, I have to have this paper. It's just the way that my brain operates. But I always do pick up cute little journals, and I like to do decorative things in them, which I haven't really shown that yet, and I will. So that's also one of the things I want to talk about today, is like working on your creative outlets and all of that. And then I'm just going to do a quick flyby of some books. So to update you, I'm still reading the Stephen King novel, Fairy Tale. I've made some progress. I made about 100 pages of progress. It is very good. So we've now entered the other dimension, and it's getting very interesting. There's a lot of references to other fairy tales, The Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland, Grimm fairy tales. It is a lot of fun. I have to say, this so far is becoming quickly one of my favorite reads. So that is still in the works. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with all this stuff once I'm done showing and telling. So I kind of got away from Shad Helmstetter in the past couple of months. I've talked about this book before, and I realized my thoughts are getting a little bit skewed recently due to different random things that go on in your life, right? You always have those everyday things that pop up. Well, one of the things that I had gotten at the beginning of this year, got this for Christmas actually, was this 365 days of self-talk. What got me into Shad Helmstetter was what to say when you talk to yourself. This book I highly recommend. I'm going to post affiliate links to my Amazon shop front. If you use the links, I receive a small commission. And I will always recommend books that I think highly of that are nonfiction. Because I am a fiction writer, I will not ever do affiliate links for fiction novels. Because that's not fair and it's a conflict of interest. But nonfiction is safe. And I really like this book a lot. It gave me a lot to think about. It's very well thought out, put together in an easy, understandable way. He doesn't use a lot of like technical terms. It was not a long read, and he includes like scripts in here for different scenarios. So like self-talk for building self-esteem. And he has smaller books that I've recommended in the past too. Solving problems. It's all about changing the way that you speak to yourself. And it's very important because, especially for someone like I struggle with anxiety, I have PTSD, I've had bouts of depression in the past. All of these things can help you overcome those types of mental upsets. So when I found the self-talk stuff, I was already into affirmations and everything, but he kind of talks about it from a different angle than affirmations, which is what I liked. He talked about it more from a neurological standpoint, and I like to take viewpoints from different concepts and kind of put them together and see how people are always saying the same type of thing. Well, this keeps opening. I highlighted this one from March 22nd because I really like it, and I will read it because I don't think it's really very visible. But it says, I practice having a happy, positive mind. The more optimistic I am, the more I train and prepare my brain for success. The more positive I see my life, the more opportunities come my way. The more doors are open to me, the more I grow, and the more peace of mind and happiness I create. I thought that was a really good one. But so he has a different script for every single day, which takes no time at all. You read a little bit in the morning, and then you're done, and you can repeat it throughout the day, or you can make up your own. He also has self-talk tips spread throughout the book, so you can read those that kind of talk a little bit more in depth about what he's saying here, and lends itself to this book as well. So I recommend both of them. If you're curious about it, I would start with this one. If you're familiar with the concept and you don't really feel like you need, that much explanation into it, this is fine. I really enjoy this, and I did kind of slack on it. I didn't read it for all of May. There was something, I like the self-talk tip, so I put that there. But I think I want to say, I'm not sure, but there's a big chunk that I missed out on, and I just picked it back up again, and I put it on my list of things that I want to accomplish every day. Sit down with my coffee, read this book, recite it out loud. They always say that that's the best, but if you can't, that's okay too. If you live with somebody and you're like embarrassed, you could just talk in your head. And then I apologize. I keep shaking the table. I'm at a weird angle in this chair. The other book that I'm reading is Daniel Goleman's Emotional Intelligence. I haven't made any headway on this book at all because I briefly got sidetracked by a book called Attached. I'm going to put that down for now. I do like some aspects of it, but it's not resonating with me in the way that I wanted. I recommended it in my past video, Show and Tell. I do still recommend it, but I will say I don't know how to put it in the right terms. It's that some of it was conflicting for me based off of the other things that I've read. And then also working with the concepts of attachment styles and whether or not you're an empath. That book doesn't talk about being an empath at all. That's coming from me. So, you know, when I read the book and I'm looking at their reasonings for why people have different attachment styles, I add in a layer of, well, people are also empathic. So what you may perceive as an insecurity in your own life could actually not be an insecurity in your life. You're picking up on someone else's behavior because you're an empath. Well, you have to take that into consideration. And so I got a little flustered with it. And for right now, I'm going to focus back on this emotional intelligence book. You know, as you can see, I did not get very far, but I did highlight quite a bit because I feel like this talks about things from a very interesting angle about like the anatomy of emotional hijacking, what that looks like in your brain, how your amygdala affects, you know, your emotional memory, like all of this stuff. And he has a lot of appendixes and references as well. But he has some appendixes back here that I feel will be very useful and helpful. So I continue to recommend this book. And then the other book that I talked about in my last video was also The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Branden. He is very applauded for the work that he's done in self-esteem, and he's written several books. This one I have not really touched yet. I read the intro, and I wanted to kind of save, you know, this. So I'm not sure if I'm going to delve into this more yet or not, or if I'm going to, because I'm getting too many things in the mix, you know, and I don't like when I do that. Okay, so that concludes that portion of this, and now we will begin the weekly spread. I have, okay, so this is my kit that I got that I showed in my show and tell video with the Hello Kitty and Friends stickers. So I have everything I need right here, really. And then I pulled some of my other printable stickers for any gaps that I may have. So we're gonna work with these today. Oh, I almost knocked over the chair, you guys. I have like a, kind of like a high top table, and it's really just not working for me in these situations. And I have this washi tape that actually matches. It is also from the HoneyBShop, but it did not come with the kit. I got this last year with a different sub box, or potentially I bought it separately. I cannot remember because it's been a while. So I have that for the bottom, and then I have the Hello Kitty bows for the top. It's kind of hard to see here because of the glow. And then this I got for the sides. This is from Simply Gilded. These are just vertical bows that are, I guess they're kind of like iridescent. I thought they were silver, but that's okay. We all know I love a good iridescent. Okay, so let's get started, and I'll start rambling about my random stuff as I do. Let me flip these over here. I do need to cut off this end. Okay, so I'm just gonna, because it lost its tackiness. I did not store it well. So, gosh, I have so many things to talk about today. It's kind of crazy. I feel like I haven't done a proper, well, I know I haven't done at least a proper plan with me for a month. I also brought my coffee. That's how you know when things are going to be long, is I bring my coffee. And I have not done that in a while. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was like doing your creative outlets. And sometimes the pressure that comes along with it, especially if you are trying to build something. Like, what got me thinking about it, I guess I should say, is that I was thinking about my channel and how it's been very slow moving. I haven't got to do, this is crookedy. I haven't got to do as much as I would like. My posts or videos at best have been intermittent and sporadic, and it's not really what I intended. I intended for this to be a more fluid, well thought out, updated channel, and that is not what happened. Now, that's not to say that that's not okay, because sometimes that's just how life flows. I think that in a lot of people's minds, mine included, is when you start to do something that doesn't really work out the way that you thought it was going to, you kind of backpedal away from it. You know, you're like, oh, well, I haven't kept up with this, so now what's the point? However, I will say this. Nothing that you see out there that people have created has ever happened overnight. And I have to remind myself of that a lot too. Also because, I write books for a living, and people are like, wow, how do you do that? Or like, how could you have 11 books? Well, it took a lot of time. And there was a point where I only had one book, obviously. And I thought to myself, I'm never going to catch up. Now, what bothers me about that thought that I had was that I was putting a pressure on myself to emulate other people that were in my age bracket. I do have some people that in the writing community that I look up to, and, they have way more published content than I do. And I would say, how am I ever going to catch up with that? Well, it's not a race, and it's not, there's that saying, you should only compare yourself to the person that you were yesterday or something like that. Or, comparison is the thief of joy. That is as true as the first statement. But I was putting a pressure on myself to perform in a way that I saw from other people. Well, you just can't do it. And then you become almost resentful to the idea of like, I have to do all of this stuff and how am I ever going to make it? Well, there's a book, it's called Bird by Bird, I believe. I can't think of the author's name, but even if you want to use that saying, brick by brick, you have to build this stuff slowly over time. And if you have pauses in between, that's okay. You come back and you do what you can, and then you just keep going that way. And the more that you do it, the more confidence you're going to build in whatever topic it may be. When I first started doing these videos, or any videos, just recording myself, let's not even use YouTube as an example, because that might not be a best one. But when I first started recording myself, I had very many takes, like just to get started. I couldn't figure out how I wanted to open things. I couldn't figure out how I wanted to close things. I was like, what do I say? Do I really need to introduce myself every time? All this stuff. And then, you start thinking about things in different ways. Well, it makes sense to, introduce yourself every time, because people may not know who you are. And this video that I'm making right now could be the very first video that they see of me. So those were things that I had to decide over time. And sometimes you can let that stuff discourage you, you think to yourself, okay, I can't figure this out. There's too many questions. And then you're like, well, never mind. That can happen. And that's okay, because I think a lot of people feel that way. They're like, this is too much trouble, and I don't want to give it that much thought right now. Sometimes we mistake an impatience in a day for impatience for eternally. That's not the right that's not the right word. But you know what I mean? Like you wake up on a Monday and you're like, I don't want to do this. And then sometimes you think that that's the way you feel indefinitely. And that's not the case at all. So, I guess my pep talk is about, that's on here. So I guess my pep talk is about, don't abandon your creative endeavors because you're having a bad day or because you're feeling off about it because it's not going the way that you thought. You know, there was a point when I was younger that I was heavily discouraged by many people to not write books. They thought that was a ridiculous pipe dream. And so many young people in recent times have come up to me at like a signing or something and said, I really want to write books. And they asked me, do I have any advice for them? And my advice is always the same. You have to believe in yourself more than anybody else. And don't worry about the naysayers or what they say, because everyone told me that I wasn't going to be able to do it. You know, and I grew up in a different time. We didn't have the resources that we do now. I grew up in a different time. I say that like I'm 1,000, but you know, I grew up in the 80s, when we didn't have, we had a card catalog. Computers were like, you didn't own computers, and the resources that I had were very different. And the way that people did submissions for books was different. And none of that stuff mattered when I became of the age to do those things. We had computers, and you email things, and a lot is done over the internet, like communication and stuff like that. So, I was told a lot of different things. Well, you live in Cleveland. You're never going to go anywhere with this. What else? You don't know anybody in New York. How would you ever get a book deal? You got to know people. What you need to do. So this is really quick. This is a sheet that I use. I can't think of the name of the shop. I thought I wrote it down on here, but I did not. Of month covers, because I want to jazz up my month covers. This is well loved. But anyways, you join groups with like-minded people who are going to encourage you. I joined the Sisters in Crime. They are a national group that supports women in the mystery writing field, which is very needed because it was a man's game at one time, like women didn't write. There were, like Agatha Christie and like a handful of other people, but mostly mystery was male dominant. So, I joined a group, I went to meetings, I met people, and I continued to work on my book. That book is not published. I hope that it will be one day, but as of right now, oh, here's my next week. We know I love a good next week sticker. I talk about it all the time. But if the book gets published one day, hey, I'm excited. But it opened the door for my career. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about, which is that this sticker is crooked. No, I'm just kidding. That's not what I want to talk about. The thing that you do may not be the end all be all of what you're doing. Like I wrote that book. I have two that I wrote actually that I submitted when I first started my career. One was a paranormal mystery. Well, it started out as just a paranormal book, and then it turned into paranormal mystery because I was taking a mystery class, and then I wrote a book about a PI whose name is Lydia Shepard, and she appears in the Noodle Shop. Okay, so I'm going on a double date tomorrow. Fun. I haven't done that in years. So that's the only obligation I have this week other than family time. So I'm going to set up the top. Oh, before I forget, I got to do this first. Then we'll do that. So anyways, those books that I wrote, even though they didn't get published, they were what I submitted to my agent in order to get published with the Noodle Shop Mysteries. So even if that endeavor that you're working on doesn't pan out in the way you think it will, it may lead you to another door. And that's where you have to really keep yourself open with that stuff, because you never know what's going to happen or what's going to come of something. Just take a chance. And I think if we just believed in ourselves just a little bit extra and said, you know what, this thing I'm working on, whatever it may be, whether it be creating a YouTube channel, whether it be, building your readership, working on a novel, a painting, it all leads to experience. You know what I mean? Like, when I was in college, I took a fiction writing class that has become infamous in my storytelling because it is what propelled me into the mystery world. I took that class. It was called Intro to Fiction, I believe. The title of the class was generalized. But what ended up being the basis of the entire class was mystery books, because my teacher, she was a mystery fan. And so that's the way that she taught it. And when we got the syllabus the first day, she had said that we were going to have to write a short story. And it would have to either be a police procedural, a cozy mystery, or a PI novel. And when I looked at it, and I didn't have any experience in writing mystery, and I had read James Patterson books, here and there, and a couple of other things too. Like I read Lillian Jackson Braun, the Cat Who series, like all that kind of stuff. But I didn't know anything about mystery. I was very into like Anne Rice, and like anybody who wrote a vampire book, I'd read it, right? Or things about witches. I like, I also read the Mayfair Witch series. So when I was doing all of that, I got really discouraged, like pretty quickly, in that class, and I was gonna drop out of it. I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. Well, I decided to change my thinking, and that I was instead going to say that I'm going to use these, you guys. These are super cute. I decided instead that I was going to use it as a way to build a broader horizon. I was like, this has now become a challenge. I'm not going to quit this class because it's not what I thought it was. I'm going to continue to do the class because I'm going to use it as a way to make me a better writer. And so it went well. And I wrote a short story, and my teacher encouraged me to submit it to Ellery Queen magazine, of which I never did because I thought she was being kind. And then I later decided, because that story would sit in a drawer while I worked on my vampire novel. It would sit in a drawer, and it just would call to me and be like, this story's not over yet. It's, it's not finished. It needs to be a full-length story. So that's what I started, after I finished that vampire novel, that's what I started working on, was that PI novel. And that's when I got heavier into Sisters in Crime. And that's when I ended up finding the opportunity to write the Noodle Shop Mysteries. And now here we are. If I wouldn't have taken that class, if I would have let myself drop out of it, I don't know that I would be where I am today. You don't know when things are going to pan out in a certain way. You just don't. And I think that's why it's good to like take chances or explore or do something outside of your comfort zone, And I think of all this all because I have not really done much on my YouTube channel. And it got me thinking, like, other times that I wanted to be like, well, this isn't going the way that I thought. Well, what do? You continue to put yourself out there. Do the best that you can. I mean, that's all you can really expect from yourself, is do the best that you can and see what happens. Because you may end up surprising yourself. I know I've surprised myself hundreds of times, or like I will post something that I think is not really that great, on my social media. Which, by the way, if you're a follower here and you don't already follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you can find me there the most. I'm also on TikTok, but that's another thing I want to get back to, is I haven't really given my TikTok channel any attention. But, you know, thinking about all that and like, when are other times that I wanted to give up or I didn't think the results were what I wanted them to be, you know? And then just like go. And if you decide really something's truly making you unhappy, then set it down and put it to the side. It may be that it needs room to breathe. Because a lot of times we don't give things time to breathe. We really don't. And especially if you're someone who's anxious, because someone described anxiety this one way and I absolutely loved it. And it was, anxiety is the fear of right now and needing to do everything right this minute. And that is so true. Okay, I can't get this off here. Well, I lost my other tweezers. I don't know where they are. I can't get this off. Technical difficulties. There we go. Uh-oh. Some of these get stuck. The kiss cut is not. This occasionally happens. It seems to happen a lot with the boxes. Okay. How many of you were cringing right now at like, she's going to tear that and the edge is crookedy? That's okay. I'm going to put this down here. So I'm going to track a couple things. I've kind of slacked on my yoga. And there we go. That one's nice. Slacked on my yoga. I need to start getting back focused into my work. But yeah, anyways, letting things breathe. We need to do that more often. And with anxiety, being an anxious person, sometimes we don't want to let things breathe because we fear about what's going to happen in the meantime, you know, and that can just go on so many different levels. So I really like these, you guys. I feel like part of what I've been doing hasn't even been in frame, and I apologize. Okay, so I have my Family Day stickers set up. I have my little date sticker set up, Family Day, and then I have the rest of the week wide open, which is so nice because I feel like that has not even been a thing for me lately. There's been something every day. I really like this, My Melody. I'm assuming that's who she's supposed to be. I really like that one. So the reason why I do it like this for anybody that's new, so I always set up what my appointments are because function over cuteness. Well, no, function should never go over cuteness, but function over decor, I should say. So I know what days I have specific things that are appointments. All of my appointments and day-specific things go in this top box, and the rest is for me to just do whatever with. I was at one point, this was personal life, and then this down here was work. But this box is no longer enough for work because I need, well, I'm long-winded, you guys. I mean, let's just be honest. I love a good ramble, and I like to write in the same way, I suppose. Notes to myself. I don't do shorthand. If that surprises anybody, bless your heart. And let's see, we'll do a dark pink border just for funsies, if I could get this off here. So, yes, all of that. I wasn't even sure I was going to do this plan with me today. I was going to do one last week. I wanted to do a summer spread for last week because, you know, it was the official first day of summer, and I have a lot of summer stickers from Happy Planner, and I just did not have the time, right? And then I thought to myself, well, when am I going to do anything? You know, when am I going to do this? And I got very discouraged, and I'm like, sit down today. It's Monday, full disclosure, because I am just planning now. Normally I would, whoops. Normally I would do this on a Sunday, but I just did not have time yesterday. My one of my best friend's sons graduated from high school, and so I went to the graduation party, and I have family day with my dad. So not a lot of time yesterday. There we go. That looks cute. So I did not get to do that. I'm like, well, you know what? You're going to sit down today, because I woke up with all of these ideas, and I thought, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to take time for me, and I am going to do this. Because sometimes you just have to do that, you know? I mean, you really don't have... If you don't allow yourself to have the time, you don't give it to yourself, you're not going to get it. You know what I mean? Well, when the time is right. That's another trap. Let me tell you that right now. Another trap that, and especially if you're doing something creative, like writing, or any art medium, really. If you say to yourself, I'll do it when I have time or when I feel inspired, you're going to set yourself up for some trouble. You have to make the time for it. You know, a lot of sayings today, make the time for the things you care about. And sometimes all you have is 5 minutes, especially if you are somebody who has children, you know, or you're a caretaker. You may not have a ton of time to yourself, but if you could just do a little bit, you know, you'll be happy with the outcome later on, you know, at a different date. I really like that. I think that looks cute, and I'm going to do it everywhere. Well, not everywhere. So I think, and like this, so I'm a pantser, which means that I write by the seat of my pants, and that's also how I live my life. A lot, like, even though I plan things, I actually leave a lot open, because I feel that planning too strictly kind of inhibits creativity or the possibility for something different to happen. So, I anticipate things. So Wednesday, because I have a lot of interaction with humans, I know that I probably will not get a lot of tasks done on Wednesday. So then that tells me probably I could just put a sticker here, and we'll do this little Karopi bag. I haven't used any of these yet. These are so cute. Definitely enough to do more than one spread. However, there will be some pieces missing, you know, like the date bars and stuff. But you have plenty. So I'll put this little... Is that girl's outfit? No, that doesn't match. Pretend like I didn't ask that. Okay, so anyways. Oh, that's the wrong day, you guys. Did everyone know that but me? Her stickers are very forgiving. So but you do have to be gentle. But if you place down a sticker and you don't smash it down, you can easily pick it up. So that's going to go here. So I'll put this here. Oh boy, I made it uneven. And somebody asked me too, I'm going to talk about this, randomness. I end all of my videos on YouTube and any videos or lives that I do, a lot of my posts on social media, I always end it and I say, if nobody told you today, you look absolutely amazing. And someone asked me, why did I start doing that? Well, like, where did that come from? And the reason why I do that is because some people, and I've been included in this myself, you didn't have anybody to really tell you that, or no one did, you know, because sometimes people just don't think that, you know, they need to, or that it's important, or like, oh, obviously you should know that. I think those things, or whatever, you know. But sometimes people need to hear that. They need to hear that they look good that day, or that they're doing good. And so I always like to tell people, if nobody told you today. I'm telling you. You look absolutely amazing, you know. I think I'm going to do... Maybe I'll do this yellow one. And then I think I'm going to stop with that. And we will put that on... We'll put it on Saturday. Because I have a feeling I'm not going to be doing much on Saturday, but I may... I'm trying to give myself the weekends off. Which is very difficult sometimes. Because when you work for yourself, there are really no hard rules. You can make some, but I don't know. I think then that takes away the fun of being self-employed, you know? I'm my own boss, and I call the shots. And then if I make them too rough, like, then what's the difference versus that someone telling me what to do? That does not match, but it's fine. So, yeah. So we've had a lot of kind of my messages of the day. We've had quite a bit today, which is wonderful. But like I said, I haven't done this. Oh my gosh. I haven't done this in a while, truly, and I have a lot to say. Which is, I guess, better than not having anything to say at all. But yeah, I go through these phases, you know, and then like when I'm working on stuff, like for my books, that obviously takes precedence over doing something like this. Because that is my main source of income, is writing the Noodle Shop Mysteries. And I'm going to be writing something else very soon that I cannot talk about. So I think... Did you guys catch that where I said I'm going to do something that I can't talk about? Isn't it exciting? I'm excited. Okay, so I just had thought something. Oh, there's a family sticker here. Maybe I'll use one of these little dots. I'm probably going to regret this, you guys, because that happens a lot. People who have paid attention have seen me put down a sticker and immediately regret it. But we're doing it. To put this little family sticker here. But like, you know, this kind of stuff, because people are like, why do you bother doing some of this stuff? If, you know, like you don't stick to, yeah, I hate that. I am going to leave it for now. Maybe I'll do something with it off camera. No, I can't. I can't abide it. Maybe if I cut it. Maybe if I cut off the edges. So if you haven't seen me immediately regret a sticker, you just did right now. You feel like you're in the club now. Okay. And then we'll cut off this side to make it look a little bit more even. And now I don't remember what I was talking about. Uh-oh. Things are starting to fall apart. Okay. But yeah, I'm going to be working on something new, and I'm really excited about it. And hopefully I can talk about it soon. The next couple of months-ish. So why do I do this? It's calming. It makes me feel like I'm put together. It's like the act of making your bed, which I used to think was a load of crap. But it's actually legit. I mean, I never liked doing that. I'm going to put one of these in the corners. Yeah, I'll put... I can't remember this little... It's like cinnamon roll something, or cinnamon... I don't know. She's cute, though. I'm going to put her here in this little corner. It relaxes me. It gives me a creative outlet that's immediate. My old therapist used to talk about that. She would say, you know, writing books is like a long endeavor. And she fully believed that I needed something quick, that I could see the outcome. So, there you have it. That's why I do this. It's fun, it's cute. And I also like to do the videos because I watched a lot of these videos when I was on chemotherapy, and it really kept me company. Okay, so we've got our decorations. We have a lot of white space to fill things in. Have all this up here. And I think we are good, you guys. I think I'm happy with this. So there you have it. And then like I'll add stuff throughout the week too. Oh, you know what I did want to do? So I have these are part of my printables. Some of the stuff is planned for Happy, but I have like a plant watering one, these meditation yoga stickers, although the yoga script is gone, so that won't work. But I need to put, I think I need to water my plants on Friday. I've been like, I missed some days, and so I'll just stick that right here as a reminder. Okay, so do that, and then there are these today's intention stickers on here. I was thinking about putting these up here. I don't really feel like it right now, so maybe that will get added, maybe it won't. But there we have it. So and I still have 5 of these stickers, and I do have these for the dates, so technically I could use those. I don't know if they'll cover the Happy Planner. Tons of boxes left. Still a full page of box stickers, some of these. I've kind of gotten away from these because I'm just doing the bullet. I felt like I was wasting them, but I do use them here. I always use them on the side. So there's that. So now we can put this back together. But yeah, I hope that, I don't know what I did with my planner. Here we go. So I hope that you enjoyed today's rambles and my unsolicited advice and all the other stuff that came out while I'm doing this. It's also therapeutic, let me just say. But yeah, I watched a lot of these when I was going through chemo, and they kept me company. There wasn't much that I could really do. And there was something soothing about watching somebody do this and also like talking to you about their life. Just the mundane stuff, not even anything, you know, like dramatic. So there you have it. I'm pretty happy with the spread. And I'm going to try my best to stick with it. The one thing I do want to say that her stickers, these, you need to write with them with like a permanent, like a thin Sharpie or something like that, something more permanent, because they do smear. I can't remember if ballpoint smears, but gel does. So there we are, and we are rounding the end of June. Hopefully in July I want to do a currently, and maybe I'm going to do the monthly. We'll see. I don't know yet. It's one of my throwaway lists. Okay. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed today. If nobody told you today, you knew it was coming. You look absolutely amazing. Talk to you guys soon.